Hi, on this video I'm going to show you how we managed to embed Play with Kubernetes in the official Kubernetes documentation so you can start using the technology right away. As you can see on my screen, I have the Play with Kubernetes screen basically, and I'm going to create an instance. Now we're going to copy these parameters basically, which will allow me to create a cluster. So let's copy this to a TXT file and let's initialize our cluster with a kubeadmin tool that allows you to easily create a cluster. As you can see, kubeadmin is already creating all the certificates, it's configuring the Kubernetes server, and once this finishes, I will see that this node, the node 1, is going to become a master node of my cluster, and we're going to also create some additional nodes on demand, and you're going to see how we can make those nodes become worker nodes as well. Okay, my cluster is finishing its initialization, and as you can see, you have the kubeadmin token that you need to copy in order to join additional nodes to the cluster. So I'm going to also copy this command line. I'm going to paste it here so I can use it later. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create 2 additional nodes so we can deploy our services, our pods, and you're going to see how you will be able to access them. So we have 3 nodes, and I'm going to go back to the master node, and what I'm going to execute now is the second step of the initialization script, which basically adds the WebNet add-on to my Kubernetes cluster. So I'm going to paste this in here, and you're going to see that Kubernetes will automatically create all the cluster roles and the daemon sets, which will basically allow my nodes and containers to communicate internally between each other. So what I'm going to do now that I have my network initialized, I'm going to join the 2 nodes. I'm going to paste this command here, and I'm going to paste this command in node number 3. And you're going to see that my nodes are going to become part of the cluster. So this node finished its initialization, and as you can see, the little icon here, you can tell which node is master and which slave. And now that everything finished, I should be able to run kubectl get nodes, and you're going to see that my nodes will be initializing. After they finish initializing, you're going to see that they should be ready. And then, as you can see now, node 1 is ready. And once the 3 nodes are ready, you should be able to schedule containers in the 3 nodes and do load balancing and take advantage of all the features that Kubernetes allows you to do. One more thing that I'm going to do before moving on into the deployment example is I'm going to copy this last command, which will basically allow me to deploy the Kubernetes dashboard in my playground. And I will be able to access to a web interface, which is really nice, and it will allow me to see and configure all the different things that Kubernetes allows. So I'm going to just paste this command here, which is extremely easy and fast. And you're going to see that Kubernetes is already deploying my services. And once my services are deployed, you're going to see that this small badge at the top will allow me to access dynamically my services. So let's check if my cluster is already ready with kubectl get nodes. You're going to see that all my nodes are ready, and at this very moment my dashboard should be deploying, so I might get an error until my dashboard gets deployed, but once it finishes, as you can see now, I'm able to see all the different basically options that I have in my cluster. I can see my roles, I can see all my namespaces, my deployments, my daemon sets, and I can do pretty much everything from here. The last thing that I would like to show you is basically how you can deploy a service and how you can actually test failure management, basically failure modes inside Kubernetes with Play with Kubernetes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just create a simple Nginx service, and I'm going to specify that I want this service to have 3 replicas, and this service is going to be also listed in port 80. So basically, if I do kubectl get pods now, you're going to be, you should see that my service is being deployed, and Kubernetes will take care of scheduling my service across the nodes, because as you saw before, my cluster is already initialized. So what I'm going to do now is I would love to access this service, which by exposing a port and a load balancer, so I can actually load balance my requests across the different nodes. And for that, I'm going to use the kubectl expose option, and I'm going to say that I'm going to expose my Nginx deployment, and I'm going to expose port 80, and I'm going to use the type load balancer expose parameter. Once I click this, you're going to see that Play with Kubernetes automatically adds the port in my interface, so it's extremely simple for me. And I'm going to be able to click in that batch, and as you can see, everything runs. Kubernetes is already scheduling my containers and doing the proper load balancing, which is pretty amazing. The last thing that I would like to show you is I'm going to do kubectl get nodes again to show you that the nodes are running. I'm going to do get pods to show you that the Nginx pods are running. And we're going to see where these pods are located. So I'm going to go to my node. I'm going to do docker ps. As you might know, Kubernetes can use Docker as a backend and some other container runtimes as well. And you're going to see that I have one Nginx in my node number 2. And if I do docker ps here, you're going to see that I have 2 Nginx on my node number 3. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to simulate that basically a node goes down. So I'm going to do kubectl delete node 2. And as you are going to see, basically, now node 2 is no longer part of my cluster. So if I do kubectl get nodes, as you can see, node 2 is no longer part of my cluster. And if I do kubectl get pods now, you're going to see that the pod that was running on that node was automatically rescheduled by Kubernetes. As you can see, this pod started running 11 seconds ago, and now my service still works as it should in a production environment. Some other cool things that you can do with Play with Kubernetes is that you can maximize your terminal if you want to work full screen, and you can basically delete nodes or add nodes on demand, as many as you like, to try different failover scenarios or try multi-master and new direction. Hope you like this video, and hopefully we'll be able to integrate Play with Kubernetes in the official Kubernetes site so everyone can actually contribute and make this playground even better. One thing that is also important is that Play with Kubernetes is open source. If you go to the GitHub link that you're going to see on this video, then you should be able to fork the playground, and you can even run it on your cluster, on GCE or in AWS or any cloud provider that you prefer. Thank you very much.